The views and opinions expressed on this program do not reflect the company, owners, management, staff, clients, or partners.
Welcome to Bermuda's Daily Talk Show. It's the Daily Hour.
ChatGPT did become the world's most downloaded non-gaming app.
Literally the job of everyone in government to address the media and the public.
What are your thoughts, audience? What are your thoughts on Zandy Silva as the deputy PLP leader?
A community that can't feed itself is a community that's doomed.
What you may not know, though, is that Bermuda, we have a connection with Epstein, too.
Things that people are doing right, the youth are doing right, that is not being advertised enough.
When you see your access to U.S. dollars disappear, that's when you have a problem.
You've got a town in the UK with a similar sized population. This place absolutely outshines it.
It's Wednesday, the 17th day of May, 2026. Welcome to Bermuda's Daily Talk Show. This is the Daily Hour brought to you by the BAC Group of Companies, HSBC Bermuda, Medical House Lenders, People's Pharmacy, and big love to Hot 107.5 for ensuring that we can pump through the radio airwaves with these most important community conversations. I'm Jamel Hartman. How's everyone feeling today? How are you all feeling? World Cup kicked off, really kicked off yesterday. Crazy thing, real quickly about the World Cup. When I say it kicked off, meaning 3 of the top 4 world stars played yesterday, right? You had Kylian Mbappe, who plays for the French national team. You had Erling Haaland, who plays for the Norway international football team. And we have Lionel Messi, who plays for Argentina. And they every last one of them put on a show. And I jokingly put on my social media this morning. I said, I blame that little psycho Messi for the NFL attempts that Cristiano Ronaldo is about to take to try to outdo them all today. But no, I didn't. I wonder if that was planned to have the 3 biggest stars, 4, if you include Ronaldo, playing this late in the tournament. But the World Cup, if you haven't been watching, yesterday was the day. The stars arrived, and it was quite entertaining. But happy Wednesday, hump day, or since it's a short work week for most people. Hopefully your week's going great so far. We've got James Burgess says, good morning to the Daily Hour team show. I'm watching and listening. Welcome to your guests. Another beautiful day. Pablo, we've got Claire Warner says, good morning, Jamel. Feeling great. Alrighty. We love to hear it. We love to hear it. We love to hear it. I must ask you all, we've got Charles H. Jefferson. He says, feeling like yesterday's conversation was a day early. Speaking about the leadership and dancing. No, I feel like maybe others were a day late, but who knows? Who knows? We've got Suzanne Ingham says, it's a super awesome Wednesday, Jamel. Not Jam Egg, she means Jamel. We are in the TDH house. We appreciate you, Suzanne, very much. All right, folks. Well, we were supposed to have a guest today, but we are going to rock with the conversation this entire show. And we're going to have an engaging, respectful conversation, some community dialogue this morning. A lot to discuss. But audience, do us a favor and we've got the daily play today. We're going to be doing keys to the past in partnership with Curb, because you all didn't get the answer yesterday. So I'm going to read the clue again today to see if someone may get the answer. All right. So you want to stay tuned for that. But in the meantime, audience, do us a favor. Don't forget to subscribe on our website. Follow us on all of our social media channels to stay up to date with all that we have going on. Help us grow beyond the mic as we do our part to continue to improve our community. All right. We've got Kathy Sumner says, good morning, TDH family and Jamel. A great morning to you, Kathy. We've got Suzanne says, Jamel, not Jamag, the autocorrect that went wrong. Indeed. No, I got you. I got you. Here's your question of the morning, folks. What are your thoughts on both leadership candidates holding public events to engage the community during an internal party election? We had a similar conversation last week, right? And I feel like this is a necessary conversation again to have. What am I talking about? Well, as we head towards the Bermuda Progressive Labor Party's leadership election later this year, something interesting appears to be happening. Not long ago, we had a conversation about internal party elections and whether candidates should engage the general public when it's not the general public that ultimately gets a vote. At the time, I understood why candidates might choose to focus almost exclusively on delegates and party members. After all, those are the people who determine the outcome. Well, it seems both candidates who have announced their intention to run for leadership of the PLP have decided to take a slightly different approach. Former Finance Minister Curtis Dickinson has announced plans to host a public forum at Ruth Seaton James Auditorium, while the Minister of Economy and Labor, Jason Hayward, recently hosted a meet and greet. While neither event changes the reality that delegates will ultimately decide who becomes the next leader of the Progressive Labor Party, it does create an opportunity for the wider public to engage directly with people who may one day become premier. Now, I find this interesting, not because the public suddenly has a vote in the leadership contest, but because it should suggest that both candidates understand something important. Whether you get a vote or not, leadership is really bigger than the political entity or party that is, right? The decision made by the next leader of the PLP not could, but will impact every person in Bermuda, regardless of whether or not they are a party member, an OBA supporter, FDM supporter, or someone who doesn't vote at all. The reality is that many people complain that politicians will only show up when they want something, right? Others complain that they don't feel heard. They don't feel connected to the decision-making process. They don't feel like anyone is listening to them. Well, if candidates are creating opportunities for public engagement, the question becomes whether people are willing to show up and participate. See, it's one thing to say politicians don't listen. It's another thing when an opportunity is presented and people decide not to engage. Now, let me be clear about this. I'm not suggesting these events are perfect substitutes for debates or formal policy discussions, nor am I suggesting they suddenly make the leadership race a public election. They don't. What they do provide is an opportunity for people to hear directly from candidates, ask questions, understand their vision, and perhaps a better sense of leadership styles they may bring to the role. I find value in it, especially now when trust in institutions and political engagement seems to be declining in many places around the world. So maybe the question isn't whether candidates should engage publicly. Maybe it's whether the public wants to be engaged and will engage. So this morning's question, you see it. What are your thoughts on both leadership candidates holding public events to engage the community during an internal party election, right? And we'll come back with the poll because we got a poll question, and this would say more about us than it does the candidates. Don't go anywhere.
People's ACW, located at King Edward VII Memorial Hospital, carries over-the-counter medicines, toys, cards, and even toiletries. Our knowledgeable staff are there whether you're at emergency, visiting family, or a member of BHB staff, to show you our best even when you're feeling your worst. People's ACW, we're here for you.
Alrighty, folks. Well, you see the question. What are your thoughts on both leadership candidates holding public events to engage the community during an internal party election? And also the poll. Here's your poll question for the day. Would you attend one of the PLP candidates' events? Would you attend one of the PLP leadership candidates' events. That's a 1 for yes, 2 for no. Would you attend? Would you attend one of the PLP leadership candidates events? That's a yes or no. Personally, yeah, I would. I would. I see value in it. I see extreme value. I see value. I think that if nothing else, this is the best time to speak to someone who may be premier, because once they become premier, assuming that the leader of the PLP will be the premier as well, they're not going to have the time to communicate. They're not going to have the time to communicate. So what are your thoughts? Again, keep in mind that they don't have to do this, because the vote really comes down to the delegates. They don't have to have community events. They don't have to meet with the general public. Again, last year during the OBA leadership race, the candidates largely focused on those who would actually vote. And that's the other interesting part. I know, yes, the PLP is the government, so more attention is going to be on the candidates announced for the PLP. But there wasn't this much scrutiny on the leadership of the One Bermuda Alliance. Now, again, this is a different approach from before. Engaging the public. You know, I saw the video this morning of former Finance Minister Curtis Dickinson out and about at Glow. And looked like he was having a good time, and he's making the rounds, and his social media is getting up there, right? Obviously, it's an election coming. You know, he's doing what's necessary. But it's an interesting approach by both of them. Very interesting approach. I mean, for me, I would personally attend. I would press, I would say yes. I would attend one of the leadership candidate events. But I'm interested to know as to whether anyone else will. Yeah, let me know on. Let's see. Let's go to the audience. We've got Dr. Anthony Richardson. Bermudians can't have it both ways. Yes, there is an internal party election, but these events allow Bermudians, especially constituents, to find out more about both men. Okay. Yeah. I agree. We can't have it both ways, but we always want it both ways. I think both events, right? If Bermudians are serious, if we're serious people, both should have standing room only. If we care enough, if we're invested enough, there should be standing room only. That's it. Standing room only. I would hope, honestly hope, that every Bermudian makes themselves available for something like this. Would you attend? Charles H. Jefferson II, he says, yes. Well, Charles, you press 1 for yes, you did. And he says, I have questions, a lot of questions. And what are some of the questions you would ask each candidate? I mean, some of you, based on, the last few days, would probably ask, what are your thoughts on leaders enjoying carnival with shirts off and dancing and so on and drinking or whatever? But, there's a lot more serious issues. But that could be serious as well to some people, right? What else, audience? What else? What are your thoughts? Again, the poll question of the morning: would you attend one of the PLP leadership candidates' events? Yeah, they're both seemingly having events coming up. And what are your thoughts on leadership candidates holding public events to engage the community during an internal election? Like, the community can't vote. You have no say as far as voting. But it's still an opportunity to engage. We've got Kimona Eve says, yes, I will attend one. And it's necessary for them to hold these public events. You know, we as a whole are all bark and no bite. It's easy to talk amongst our family and friends, but when given the opportunity, we are busy. Well, this is an opportunity to really, I agree with her, get there face to face and have the conversation. This is an opportunity to ensure that you are heard. Folks, this is the daily discussion brought to you by Titan Express and Secure. Suzanne Ingham says, that is my question. Why are they doing this when it's an internal vote? Is it about premiership or prestige? Would I go if they are out? Yes, I always have questions. Maybe it's just getting to know them. So I think that's maybe the question we can ask both, right? I appreciate the approach. Let me be very clear. I appreciate the approach that they are speaking to the general public rather than just their members or delegates. I think we all can appreciate that, right? But I think your question is valid. Why? Obviously, it's strategic. They see some value in embracing the general public, right? But then it's also about controlling the narrative, right? Because they're not going to meet with the media, but they'll hold their events. So they're controlling their narratives in the public. It's interesting. I'm happy they're doing it. I'm happy that they're doing it. I'm happy that the people of Bermuda, not just party members or delegates, have an opportunity to engage both candidates. That does make me smile. Kathy Ann Painter says, truthfully, I am only interested in hearing from one. I will attend. Well, that's a disservice to ourselves, right? You know, I say it all the time on this show. One thing I absolutely don't shy away from is entering rooms where people look differently from me, sound differently from me, think differently from me, and live differently from me. I don't want to be in an echo chamber. That's not helpful. I want to hear from everyone. I think it's dangerous for us to already have our minds made up. That's just me. Not saying you should feel differently, but that's just me. We've got Dr. Anthony Richardson says, I compare Bermuda political events with those in Trinidad. Trinis attend in large numbers, but with Bermuda, it's little or outright poor attendance numbers. Why and how do we fix that? I mean, if you want to get Bermudians out to political events, just have some music and a DJ and alcohol. I'm not joking. I am literally like this most straight face for those listening on the radio. If you want to get Bermudians out to something, make sure you have a bar, a DJ, and music. It works. It works. I'm sorry. That's what we've created for ourselves. That's what you look at the comments on social media. It's who we want to be. You have to create a party-like atmosphere if you want to get people interested, engaged, and involved in us. But then we'll say, the country's rotting, or we have more important things to do. There are more important things that we need to be focused on. You got me? Don't forget the poll, folks. Would you attend one of the PLP leadership candidates' events? 1 for yes, simply just press 1, or 2 for no, just 2 for no. Also, what are your thoughts on both leadership candidates holding public events to engage the community during an internal party election? What are your thoughts? Are you for it? Michael Daniels says, we do not have a vote, but we do have influence. Absolutely. Absolutely. I concur. Lou Edward Matthews says, the community can influence. We are neighbors and friends. So the people voting need to know and feel how people think. Do they care? They didn't seem to in the last time around. Do they care? I get it. I get your point, Dr. Lou, but do they care? We've got Dorian says we need to attend and ask the tough questions like, what's your sexual preference and do you have any issues with alcohol need to be asked? Oh, well, that's personal. I mean, maybe that's par for the course. Maybe that's what Bermudians want to know. But that seems a bit personal. Dwayne P. Santucci says we need to educate the public that they do have a responsibility to join the PLP as a member so that they can have 1 out of every 20 persons joining the PLP to be in a position to have a voice. Kathy Ann Painter says, I have engaged and heard from the other, and I'm good. Well, she did give him a chance. She said she gave the other candidate a chance. All right, folks, let's take a quick break. We've got a lot to get through. We've got the Teo's something he thinks you should know. We've also got the Bermudian icons for the day. So we'll get through both of those, take a commercial break, come back, and we'll continue the conversation. This is a good one. I promise you, we'll continue the conversation, but you see the question, what are your thoughts on both leadership candidates holding public events to engage the community during an internal party election? Keep your comments coming, but let's give some love to Titan Express and Secure, and then we will go to Teo, see what he's got, to our Bermudian icon segment. Then we'll go to a commercial break and come back and continue the conversation.
The daily discussion is brought to you by Titan Express and Secure. Titan Express delivers safe, professional, and reliable transportation and tours across the island. From island tours to cultural experiences, they set the standard. And Secure is your go-to for property management, waste management, and residential and commercial services. Visit securebda.com. Professional, punctual, and reliable service is their commitment to you.
All righty, folks. Let's see what Teo has for us today.
Good morning, I'm Teo Dill, and welcome to today's episode of Something You Need to Know on TDH. And today's something is very topical and should be interesting to every local football fan, which is to say, like, basically everybody, right? The FIFA World, every 4 years, billions of people tune in and talk with what happened on the field. Take 1969. World Cup qualifying series between El Salvador and Honduras became the final spark in a long simmering political crisis. Tensions over immigration, land ownership, and economic inequality had been building for years. And after a bitter 3-game qualifier, riots erupted, diplomatic relations between the countries collapsed, and within weeks, the two countries were literally at war, like war. Historians call it the football war. Google it, it's real. The World Cup didn't cause it, but football became the match that lit the fuse. Then there's the World Cup trophy itself. In 1966, just months before the tournament in England, the trophy was stolen from a public exhibition in London. Police searched everywhere and came up empty, and eventually it was discovered by a dog named Pickles while he was out for a walk with his owner. The dog became an international celebrity, attended banquets, had TV appearances, and arguably became more famous than many other players. And then 4 years later, another giant shock arrived in the form of tiny North Korea. Almost nobody gave them a chance at the 1966 World Cup, but they stunned football powerhouse Italy and became the first Asian nation to ever advance beyond the group stage. Fans in the English town of Middlesbrough adopted them as underdogs, creating one of the most unlikely international friendships in sports history. Middlesbrough and North Korea. I'm not kidding. Again, Google it. Now, all that said, not every World Cup story is uplifting, completely eliminated, and just days after returning home, Escobar was murdered. The killing shocked the world and exposed the dangerous intersection of football, gambling, and organized crime that existed in Colombia during that era. And finally, perhaps the greatest upset of all, in 1950, Brazil hosted the World Cup and entered the decisive match against Uruguay, needing just a draw to become champions. Newspapers had already printed victory editions, celebrations were planned, like 200,000 fans packed the Maracana expecting a coronation. Instead, Uruguay won 2-1. And the result became known as the Maracanzo, and many historians still consider it the most devastating defeat in football history. The World Cup's often remembered for goals, trophies, and
Middlesbrough and North Korea. I didn't see that one coming. I definitely didn't see that one coming. Thanks for that, Tay. World Cup definitely does some special things. It definitely does some special things. appreciate that unique piece of information that I guess we could all use. All right, folks. We've got Bermudian icons for the week. Here's Bermudian icons brought to you by ZipX.
Welcome to TDH's Bermudian Icon series, brought to you by the great folks at ZipX. Few people have connected with Bermudians through radio quite like Nikita Robinson. For well over a decade, listeners have welcomed her voice into their homes and cars through Magic 102.7 FM and Hot 107.5 FM, where faith, encouragement, and community come together every weekday. But her impact goes far beyond the microphone. For 16 years, her annual World Book Day initiative has put thousands of books directly into the hands of Bermuda's young people, while her book club segment continues to encourage a culture of reading nationally. This is a big part of why Nikita was awarded the Queen's Certificate and Badge of Honor in 2020. She's also been a major force in liturgical dance, leading worship events and creative ministries that blend movement, faith, and community engagement. And through initiatives like International Dance Day celebrations and public worship gatherings, she's helped to create spaces where spirituality and the arts intersect. But what really sets Nikita apart, though, is the relationship that she's built with her audience. Whether it's prayer requests, testimonies, book drives, charity spotlights, or simply her signature sign-off, I love you to life, she spent years turning radio from a one-way broadcast into a genuine community conversation. And in a media landscape that often changes by the minute, that kind of connection is increasingly valuable. And that's today's Bermudian Icon series, brought to you by the great folks at ZipX. Now back to the show.
All right, big up to our colleague, Nikita Robinson. She's done a lot, man. We have a story. One day she'll come back and we'll share that story again. But make sure you show Nick some love. Still doing her thing. Probably, I said this about Nikita, and very few people understood this. But Nikita is probably the most influential radio host in Bermuda, and people don't understand that because I read a post yesterday. Someone sent to me, Sade Milan put up about their, how far they've come. And it reminded me of Nikita Robinson. She doesn't have this great social media following. And I think we have literally, we have this distorted minds when it comes to this whole, ego thing. But Nikita Robinson probably has the most loyal group of people of any media personality in Bermuda. And that loyal base is a quality group of people who will do probably more for her. And let's say it's 50 people, then there's social media folks who maybe have 5,000 people. And I think she is actually one of the people who schools, when it comes to case studies, should be looking to when it comes to quality over quantity in any aspect of life. So big props to Nikita, a mainstay in the media space, a beautiful person, a great sister, and someone who literally would give you the shirt off her back. All right, it's time for Days of the Year. So, folks, in the U.S., it's National Thank a Teacher Day. It's Thank a Teacher Day. So I want to ask you all, who is a teacher? Who is one of your teachers you'd like to thank? Who's a teacher you'd like to thank? One of your teachers throughout your life. I don't remember all my teachers' names, but I'm going to stick with the ones who, man, I was a thorn in their side. And I was only like this high for the longest, right? I'm not that. I'm much taller now. But I'm going to say I've got my first primary school teacher, Miss Dia Tucker. Gladys Dill, she was, I remember her. We had Dr. Patricia Chapman. We had Miss Daniels, Carlton Johnson, Miss Toda. I just remembered all of my primary school teachers. Yeah. In high school, I can't remember nobody. I'm be honest. I cannot remember. Oh, Joanne Tucker Smith. She was at Cedar Bridge. I remember her. And Miss Flood, the music teacher. But Thank a Teacher Day. I want to thank them all, man. I may have not been the best student. I may not have, may have turned their hair gray or, made their hair fly away early or something. But I'm grateful for them. They didn't give up on people like me. So I've got to give all my teachers who I remember props. As far as like graduate school, man, like college and stuff. All of them, because they made me seem like an academic, mentoring and the whole tutoring thing. Because your boy's not an academic, so they had to spend extra time with me, and it got me to the point where I was able to submit my final paper early, and so teachers, I made them work overtime, like they earned their pay with me. Yeah. How about you? Who's your favorite teachers, folks? Who's some of your favorite teachers? We've got Traveling Trotty says, Mrs. Marva Allen at the Barclay. At the Barclay. We've got James Burgess says, Miss Dillsworth, Central School. Is Central School the old Victor Scott? We've got Mr. Donald Dane. He taught math, which I ended up enjoying, thanks to Mr. Dane. Okay. We've got Dorian says, Mr. Kevin Bean. Okay, Mr. Kevin Bean. All right, so we've got some teachers. Anyone else? Thank a teacher day. Who's a teacher you'd like to thank? You all don't like your teachers, huh? You don't want to thank anybody. You're just wrong. All right, folks, we'll take this quick break. We'll come back after this break and continue the conversation this morning. Internal party election. I'll get to some of the comments we missed, but keep the comments coming. We'll be back in a few. Stick with us.
Guess what? Bermuda's most popular game is back. That's right, Shoe Buy is back in stores. But wait, there's more. The brand new Shoe Buy Summer Edition is here too. Bring the laughs, the vibes, the friendly chaos to your barbecues and summer get-togethers with Bermuda's favorite game. Don't miss your chance to get yours. Visit BermudaTrivia.com and follow Bermuda Trivia on social media to learn more.
One lucky bucks in the summer edition has a golden ticket with the chance to win a grand prize courtesy of One Communications.
Hi there, welcome to Medical House. We're located at number 6 Bakery Lane. I can't wait to show you all of the great stuff that we carry. Come on inside, let's see. Long days, long shifts, you no longer have to endure comfortable underwear. Designed by nurses, we now offer premium undergarments by Swoop that are unique, fun, comfortable, and functional. The only underwear you'll ever want to wear. Who says high-quality functional products can't be stylish and comfortable at the same time?
See it all at our new expanded location on Bakery Lane.
Discover Drop It, your go-to grocery delivery. Browse and select from a wide range of groceries, from fresh produce to daily essentials. Our friendly drivers deliver fresh groceries to your door fast, saving you time and hassle. With Drop It, you get fresh groceries delivered fast, so you can focus on what really matters. Drop It, freshness at your doorstep, delivered to your door with Lindo's. Why go anyplace else?
What lasts isn't what you buy, but what it becomes. With the HSBC MasterCard credit card, every spend quietly adds to a story shaped by intention and offers what matters most. Support that meets you where you are. Protection that preserves what you choose. Confidence for the unexpected. Peace of mind wherever your story leads. Start your next chapter. Use your card today. HSBC is licensed to conduct banking and investment business by the Bermuda Monetary Authority.
Ever taken medication and thought, why is this hitting me so hard? Or why isn't this doing anything at all? Here's something you may not know. Your body processes medication the same way it needs to process food, using enzymes. And these enzymes metabolize medication so it can be converted into its useful form or removed from your body. Pharmacogenetics looks at how your DNA influences the way your body metabolizes or breaks down medications. It helps explain why a drug that works well for one person causes side effects in another and barely works at all for someone else. That means the same pill at the same dose can feel very different from one person to the next. It's not about blame, it's not about doing something wrong, it's simply biology. And once you know what works best for you, medication decisions stop being guesswork and start becoming personalized.
All righty, welcome back to the big show. Folks, this is the Daily Hour brought to you by the BAC Group of Companies, HSBC Bermuda Medical House Lenders, People's Pharmacy, and big love to Hot 1075 for ensuring that we can pump through the radio airwaves with these most important community conversations. Folks, don't forget to subscribe on our website, follow us on all of our social media channels to stay up to date with all that we have going on. Help us grow beyond the mic as we do our part to continue to improve our community. All right, folks, the question of the morning that we had, we'll get to it in a second, but it is, Thank a Teacher Day. And I did ask you, I told you, see, I named all my primary school teachers, right? I named them all. I guarantee none of you all couldn't do that. But I did ask you, who's a teacher you'd like to thank? We've got Justin Painter says, Shawnette Purnell Sumner, Gina Davis, Anthony Wolf, Crescent Williams. Okay. We've got Charles H. Jeffs II says, Helene Stevenson. Okay. We've got Manuela says, Mrs. Martha Francis. Okay. I think that was my principal at Prospect Primary, Miss Francis. What central school she must have been at. And we've got Polly Rich says primary, Helene Stevenson, Mills, and then secondary, Gareth Davis. Okay. We've got Suzanne Ingham says Miss Horton. She never gave up on me. Is that like the Miss Horton, Miss Ellen Kate Horton? We've got Dr. Anthony Richardson says Miss Godwin at Central, Miss Wider, and Mr. Can at Whitney, Jill Poole at Cardiff Law School, Dr. Schultz at Harvard School of Education. Okay. We've got Anika DeShield says Miss Yvonne Best at Elliott Primary, Mrs. Allen, Mrs. Blades, and Mrs. Wood Smith, Mr. Thomas, Madames Richards and Holder, Mr. Smith, all at Barclay. Oh my. Okay. Okay. Interesting. You all loved your teachers. I love that, though. I love that, especially at a time when, people seem not to respect those who are in that space. All right, folks, let's get back to the question of the morning. We've got you. What are your thoughts on both leadership candidates? That's the Honorable Curtis Dickinson, the Honorable Minister Jason Hayward, both leadership candidates vying for the leadership of the Bermuda Progressive Labor Party, holding public events to engage the community during an internal party election, which happens later this year. And the poll question we have up is, would you attend one of these PLP leadership candidates events? Would you attend one? 1 for yes, 2 for no. But I'm going to go back to some comments from earlier that some of you had. We had Charles H. Jeffs II. He says, are they going to come on shows like TDH or do they feel like they don't have enough control? I think it's a control thing. Because if the idea is to focus on, as their responses have been to like myself or members of the media, is that it's an internal party election. They're going to focus on the members and then they hold these public events. Then it's about control. Yeah, they want to control the event and atmosphere. Now, to me, that does a disservice to the public, right? When you're trying to control it. But it's strategic, right? I mean, let's be honest. It's strategic. And unfortunately, politics is about strategy. Look, someone said to me, when you stutter, it seems like you really want to say something, but you don't. Well, yeah, that's true. I want to make sure that people understand that we will offend people regardless of what we do or say. But the intent is not to offend, it's to be clear. So it's not to offend anyone, but it's to be clear. But honestly, sometimes politics feels like who can tell the most believable lie? Who can be the most convincing or persuasive with that lie? And who can create popularity for themselves on those lies? That's what it kind of seems like. And I don't say that to offend either of these candidates or any other person who's put their name forward to run in politics. But it just seems that way. That's just my honest feeling when it comes to politics and politicians or aspiring politicians. Kimwana Eve says, we are all connected to delegates and members. We all have influence. I wonder if many PLP members already have their minds made up. All connected. I would love to believe that we have influence, Kimwana, but truthfully, I thought that way last time around. Dorian says anybody can attend, but only PLP members have a say in who's elected. Become a member so you can have a say. I think this is a case of be careful what you ask for from the Bermuda Progressive Labor Party when you tell people become a member. What I mean by that is, do you really want people who don't align with your political party being members and being informed or being a part of something that they genuinely oppose? I mean, does the PLP reject membership? And I'll use an example. Let's say Bermuda's most successful recent premier in Michael Dunkley says, you know what? I'm going to sign up and register as a PLP member just out of the blue so that he can have a say in this political election. You see where I'm going with this? Not saying it would happen, but I think the PLP need to be very careful in what they're asking for and the OBA, right? And telling people to sign up as members. Do you want people who don't align with your political ideology having a decision or a say? I'm not quite sure you do. Renee Sherlin says, so this event, the public can ask their questions to the candidates to get each perspective of the same question, correct? No, they're different events. Curtis Dickinson is having his event. Jason Haywood had his meet and greet. So they're different events. They're not the same place. No, this is not a debate. They're not. I highly doubt outside of the PLP they'll even get into something like that. No, they're having separate events. All right. What else we got, audience? What are your thoughts? Let us know. What are your thoughts on both leadership candidates holding public events to engage the community and the electorate, general public, during an internal party election where the general public doesn't have a say? What are your thoughts on that? And also the poll is, would you attend one of the PLP leadership candidates events? Would you attend one? Would you go to one? Would you, I mean, is this just theater, you think? What are your thoughts? We've got Suzanne Ingham says Jason Hayward was paying for people to sign up back in May. Oh, well, I don't know that to be true, but okay. I don't know. We've got Dorian says it's called politics, and that's how DB got elected. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, yeah, it is, if we're honest. Michael Daniels says, I feel like I know that much. Sorry, I take that back. Michael Daniels says, I don't feel like I know that much about the stances of Mr. Dickinson. Look, it's obvious that Curtis Dickinson's success in the private sector has made him a fan favorite. I think also him resigning the way he did right before the budget some years ago, 2021 or 22, also gained him a lot of popularity because he showed that he was not going to be a puppet or align himself with something that he didn't agree with. He seemed to operate in good conscience rather than do things that were, I guess, politically expedient for the political party. So I think that's what's gained Mr. Dickinson a lot of respect. Curtis Dickinson has earned that respect from the general public. But I think, to Michael Daniels' point, I don't think people seem to know much more about him. I take your point. People don't seem to know where he stands on a lot of stuff. But he has the opportunity to share that with people. Now, again, Mr. Dickerson has a personality where he's a bit more reserved, right? Hopefully, these public events will give people the opportunity to engage him, to learn more about where he stands on certain things. Maybe he'll, open up the floor and, he'll continue attending churches and doing things that give people the opportunity to get to know him a bit better. I do agree, though, with you, Michael Daniels. He has built quite, the track record and gained popularity by doing what the majority feel is the right thing. But how far does that right thing extend into social issues and the like? So, but Mr. Dickerson has a lot of time between now and October. Well, comparatively speaking, he does have, compared to last time, he has a lot of time to actually engage the general public to change perspectives. Let's go back to the audience. Again, audience, what are your thoughts? Both candidates are engaging the public, despite the public not having a say in the internal PLP election. Charles H. Jeffers II, he says, after the last leadership election, I was asking for a list of delegates to cross-reference with those who sit on government boards. Is there a correlation? So are you asking, Charles, are there people who are delegates that will vote one way because they'll maintain a position? Is that what you're implying? Just asking. Nark Burgess said, did you just say Michael Dunkley was the most successful premier? WTF. I said the most successful recent premier. Michael Dunkley, depending on how you rate success. And we got to give credit where it's due. Dr. Brown was a success in his own right with the fast ferries. And, a lot of people like to celebrate the, number of cruise ship passengers. But despite all his mishaps, as someone reminded me last week, that happened under Dr. Brown. He drove that. So he had some success as well. What we're not going to do is try to, again, I tell you all the time, just because we may not like people or have issues with their politics, we're not going to sit here and be dishonest. At least I'm not, and you're not going to do it on this show with me. Michael Dunkley may not be your favorite person, but under his leadership, he done a lot of things that some of your favorite leaders said they would do and did not do. Opened hotels. Whether you like the sailboat race or not, it generated interest and it generated revenue for Bermuda. So the America's Cup did something for Bermudians at the time. So let's not act like that this is some extreme thing simply because you don't like him. We don't do that on this show. There's a lot to not like about Michael Dunkley. But see, me, just because I don't like someone or have issues with their politics, that doesn't mean you don't give credit where it's due. I've done the same thing with David Burt, the Premier of Bermuda. I may not like how he carries himself, but when he gets it right, he gets props. That's what we do on this show. Charles H. Jeffers II says, wouldn't it be ironic for Curtis Dickinson to become premier and have to attend and participate in the reopening of Fairmont, Southampton? That would be no different from the PLP becoming government and then attending the ribbon cutting for the airport. That's pretty much, I mean, it's not the exact same, but you get my point, right? We've got Renee Sherilyn says, I would prefer a debate. I don't think we'd get a debate. I would love to see one. Now that the late, great Ceola Wilson is no longer here, the question is, who holds that debate? Who holds that debate? Who's the question asker? Charles H. Jeffs II says, to be fair, we don't know a lot about Jason either. I think we do. I think we do. And I say I think we do. The general public has known Jason much longer, and they may not like Jason, but Jason Hayward has been a leader in the unions for much longer than Curtis was politically involved out front in the PLP. So, it's I don't think it's comparable. Jason is, you can Google and look on his stances on a lot of social issues. They're there. It's not a fair comparison. That's not to say that Jason's a better candidate than Curtis Dickinson. Again, Curtis Dickinson, his track record may speak for itself, but we have to be fair. We know where Jason stands on labor and many social issues. I mean, if we don't, it's there for us to see. We know that Curtis Dickinson is going to let his conscience be his guide, not his politics. We know this. We don't know that about Jason. We can honestly give props to both. But I think it's it'd probably be unfair to say we don't know a lot about Jason either. We know much more about Jason and his stances than we do Curtis if we've been following, if we've been paying attention. Again, that doesn't make Jason Hayward the better candidate. Dorian says public opinion will not win this election. The candidates only need to engage the delegates as they cast the votes. Well, yeah, the public didn't win the last internal election. We saw how that went. I concur. I agree with you. We've got Dr. Anthony Richardson says Jason has the edge in that Bermudians have known him longer. Well, that's what I was just saying in response to Charles. But knowing someone doesn't mean that they're the better person. Is also my point. I think I don't have a vote in this, but I could tell you why, if I had a vote, why I would vote for each individual. And I kind of explained that already. I think I trust that Curtis Dickinson, based on what I've gotten to know about him politically. I trust that he will make decisions not in his best interest, but in Bermuda's best interest. That's my trust. I mean, he walked away a week before a budget. That's a man that operates with a conscience, in my opinion. As far as Jason Hayward, I don't necessarily agree with, like, the minimum wage and stuff, but I think he does things that he believes are going to be fair for the average Bermudian. I do. So I think they have their own things. It's really about what people feel they will benefit from. That's what it's really going to come down to, right? I feel like it's an opportunity, and I would encourage Bermudians, if you are able to, attend their events, because it seems like the strategy from both candidates is going to be to engage the general public, right? They're going to be engaging the general public. Get out there. Get out there to them. Ask your questions. This is your opportunity to be heard. You'll probably, regardless of which one becomes premier, this will probably be your best opportunity to let them know how you feel and what you expect if they become the next leader. Charles H. Jeffs II says, my earlier comment was questioning if delegates were promised or rewarded for their support with a government board seat. Okay, I hope. Is that ethical? Well, then again, this is politics. What is that? Never. Leave that. All right, so 80% of you would attend one of the PLP leadership candidates events. So 80%. I wonder why the 20% would not. I wonder why the 20% would not. But 80% of you would. I wonder why you wouldn't, for those who said no. I do. I do. I do. All right, folks, let's take a quick break. We'll come back and we'll wrap it up. We got the keys to the past today. Charles says, no, it's not ethical, but that doesn't mean it wouldn't happen. Yeah. I feel, yeah. Interesting. Michael Daniels says, the public needs to acknowledge the power they have as a group. Our history shows attest to that. Dorian says, if Jason wins, DB and ZD will still run the show. If Curtis wins, the country becomes Bermuda Inc. and a lot of corruption will be flushed out. That's what we think? I disagree. I highly disagree with you, Dorian. I would suggest all of us figure out who surrounds themselves with who. I'm not insinuating anything here, but I think before we make comments like that, we need to probably look behind the curtains. I think it's unfair to each candidate to act as if either of them can't think for themselves and do what they feel is best. But if we believe that Jason, it's no different. We felt like David Burt was being run by Hewitt Brown. We're going to feel like Jason's going to be run by this David Burt or Zandy Silva. But you think Curtis is not going to have somebody running him if that's the case? What? That's unfair. That's unfair. We've got Renee Sherlin says to Dorian, so since the delegates who decides who wins doesn't make much sense in public opinion, does it? Now that's a question for change. Perhaps the vote for leadership should be included in the election. Unfortunately, that's not how the Westminster system works. It's not. It's not. All right, folks, let's take our final break. We'll be back after this. Do not go anywhere. Got the daily play, which is the keys to the past. I'll give you the clue. You can't say the answer in the audience, all right? Do not go anywhere with us.
Yeah, I don't got this. I'm gonna be fast to delivery on.
Oh, really? Don't pay me enough for that,
Oh, no, sugar! Okay, who's the faster? Who's the faster than me? Talk to me. No more stress, just zip backs.
For over 70 years, Bermuda Pest Control has been protecting homes and businesses island-wide. We offer a full suite of services, including rodent control, termite fumigation, and general insect control and maintenance. Our team of experts will quickly and efficiently eliminate any pest problem you may have. With Bermuda Pest Control, you can enjoy a pest-free home in no time. We're committed to providing fast, reliable, and solution-driven services for our customers. It's what we've been doing since 1952. Call Bermuda Pest Control today and say goodbye to pests for good.
Dreaming of expanding your business? With BDC's Loan Guarantee Program, we support your ambitions. Get up to 75% guarantee on bank or credit union loans up to $300,000. Just your vision and our support. Apply today and unlock new business opportunities. BDC, Bermuda Business starts here.
Bermuda, there's nothing like a home-cooked meal, especially when you can feed the whole family without stretching your wallet. With the affordable Bermuda basket, you'll find savings on everyday staples like rice, chicken, corn, and more. Everything you need to make a good meal for less. Shop the Bermuda basket at Lindo's, Marketplace, the Garden Market, and the English Market. Visit costofliving.gov.bm to see the full list of goods and start planning your meals. This is a message from the Ministry of Home Affairs.
Life moves fast, and so can the unexpected. When you insure your home, you need to know that your insurance company has your back. At Friesenbrook, let one of our friendly and professional agents give you that peace of mind. Because when you are covered, you are confident. Call us at 296-3600 or visit FriesenBrook.bm to learn more.
All righty, welcome back to the big show. Thanks all for rocking with us. Folks, if you haven't already and you're streaming with us on one of our social media platforms, give us a like, love, follow, share the link with your friends, your family, your colleagues. Make sure everyone you know has access to these most important community conversations as possible. All righty. I want to give a big thanks and shout out to the BAC group of companies, HSBC, Bermuda Medical House, Lenders, People's Pharmacy, and big love to Hot 1075 for ensuring we can pump through the radio airwaves with these most important community conversations. Folks, it's time for the Daily Play brought to you by Bermuda Trivia. Don't forget, we've got the new Shoe Buy Summer Edition and the original in stores now, the coloring books, the sports edition, which came out this year. A lot of Bermuda Trivia available for you. You can go check them out at People's Pharmacy. Make sure that you follow Bermuda Trivia on all of your favorite social media platforms, including Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, X, and TikTok, to find out why it's Bermuda's favorite trivia game. All right, I'll give you the clue again. All right, you ready? Here's your clue. All right. This is Keys to the Past with Curb. You have to go find the key. We've gotten winners within a day for every last one. This is week 7. Here we go. With scissors sharp and vision clear, he shapes more than the styles of hair. From island life to history's page, he rose to lead upon a greater stage. Find the lane both short and small that leads to one who changed it all. All right, that's your clue. Do not share the answer. Do not share the answer, all right? Maybe you can send someone a message or a WhatsApp or a text and let them know, hey, I think I got this week, but don't share it, all right? That's your clue for today. All right, audience, I got to give you some daily inspiration tonight, but I'll wrap it up before that. As far as today's discussion, I really hope, my hope is that we do a better job of holding those who have the privilege of leading us accountable. We, as citizens and people, the electorate, have a role to play. And we have to understand, as someone said earlier, our power, our own power, in ensuring that when it comes to politics, we get the desired results. Both candidates have said, oh, no, we're going to focus on party members. And then they've announced that they're holding these public events. Great. But I'll tell you all, do not go to these events and let them control the narrative. I'm not saying you go there and be disrespectful and interrupt anything. But go there with your own questions. Because if you allow them to dictate and control the narrative, that's going to tell you what kind of leadership we're bound to have. Do your part. Accountability starts with each and every person in Bermuda. We have to believe in accountability in order to hold our elected officials accountable. All righty. Here's your daily inspiration for the day. Sounds applicable, right? This is from the words from The Journey Within, my book, which you can find at People's Pharmacy. If you don't have people around you, if you have people around you who don't hold you accountable, get rid of them. It'll benefit you in the long run. Leave you with that today, folks. All right. Audience, don't forget to subscribe on our website. Follow us on all of our social media channels to stay up to date with all that we have going on. Help us grow beyond the mic as we do our part to continue to improve our community. Thanks again to our partners, the BAC group of companies, HSBC, Bermuda, Medical House, Lenders, People's Pharmacy, and big love to Hot 1075 for ensuring that we can pump through the radio airwaves with these most important community conversations. As always, we appreciate you, we love you, and we thank you for making us part of your daily routine. If all goes well, we'll be back to do this again with you tomorrow. I'm Jamal Hartman. Please do make it a safe and a great day. We are out. Peace.